Thank you for joining The Royal Buzz, your go-to podcast that's buzzworthy on pageantry, advocacy, and positivity. Where Hive meets hype, listen to the magic one story at a time. Hello, listeners, and welcome to The Royal Buzz. Today's show, we're going to promise that you're going to leave feeling motivated to see a story of resilience and an individual that has learned to struggle to make purpose out of those challenges. I'm the host, Trina Myers, Miss Elite United USA, the Zebra Queen, legacy maker, and CEO of Rare Wish and Queen Bee of Creative Marketing Agency. And today I have a special guest with me, Juan, and I'm going to butcher your last name. I should have asked you that before we got on the call. I'll let you pronounce that. And let me tell you a little bit about Juan first. He is a partner engagement specialist at Path United. And Juan and I met through our local Chamber of Commerce. And then we found ourselves running into each other in the nonprofit space. Well, one day we sat down for coffee to share our stories, and I must say, what an inspiration. Thank you so much for being here with me today, Juan. And I'll hand it over to you if you could tell us a little bit more about yourself and what you'd like to share with the listeners today.
Yeah, thank you so much, Trina. I appreciate you having me here. I'm excited to be here and share the space with you. But yeah, so just a little bit about me and my background.
And how do you pronounce your last name before
Yeah,
I get you deep dived?
last name, the Spanish way is Terrazas, to make it easier on people.
Terrazas.
Terrazas, yeah.
Okay, yeah,
But
I
to make
can't
it
roll
easier.
my R's, unfortunately. So that's why I was like, I'm not even going to attempt it.
Yeah, I usually just tell people to say terrazas. It's more the English way,
Terrazas.
easier. So
Okay, that I will keep that mental note. Thank you so much. So yes, carry on.
yeah. So just a little bit about my background. I'm actually from Mexico. I was born in Mexico in Juarez, and I grew up in Texas around Dallas. That's where my parents migrated when I was about 5 years old, and I just grew up there most of my life. And I say a large part of my story, it comes from an immigrant background. And by the time I was 14 years old, my dad got deported and sent back to Mexico. And so at 14 years old, I found myself without my dad. And not too long after that, my mom ends up having to go back herself because my grandpa was passing away. That I find myself without both my parents. I stayed with a cousin and her boyfriend. I got kicked out shortly
Wow.
after I turned 15 years old, and I remember just walking down this back alleyway and just thinking to myself, I'm like, God, I'm 15 years old. I just got kicked out. Where am I supposed to go? What am I supposed to do with my
Yeah.
life? And I mean, at that moment, all I could think about was go back to my friend's house, the one I used to spend time with. At 15 years old, I just start house hopping, going from place to place, trying to figure out where my next meal is going to come from, trying to figure out where I'm going to lay my head, where to find a home, where to find a family. And it was a struggle. That's how I lived throughout my whole high school years, just trying to,
Oh,
it was basically a state of survival. I wasn't thinking about anything else, but just trying to make it through that day to get to the next day. And that was mainly how I spent most of my time. But I'm so
wow.
grateful for a couple church ministries that reached out to me in my neighborhood, Dallas Metro and Youth with a Mission, also known as YWAM. Between those two organizations, they used to pick me and my friends up and take us to the facility, taught us about God. They used to feed us. And I just kept going because I felt a safe space and I felt that I was welcome. And I I felt like I belonged somewhere. So that's why I
Right.
kept going.
They
It was
were your family.
yeah. Eventually, they became a family. They became everything to me that I needed at that time. In the midst of all this, I'm still house hopping, going from place to place. And by the time I was 18, I'm still well. Before I graduated high school, I was still 17. I went back to the ministry, Youth with the Mission. Me and my friends haven't gone in a while, so me and one of my good friends went back to it. I remember we were bragging. We were like, man, we're big kids now. We're graduating high school.
Yeah.
So it was just, we just felt like we had accomplished something. So this lady comes up to me and she just started saying, man, I have images in my head that I feel like it's a gift from God. So I want to share that with you. So she started sharing with me of how she just felt God was telling her that I was struggling on my own without my parents, house hopping. And it was just amazing because I've never heard anybody share with me like that. And I did not know this
Wow.
lady. I did not know who she was. And she just said that all this pain and suffering will be gone until you surrender your life to the Lord. And I remember I graduated high school that summer, 2008, and I was still house hopping, going from place to place. And so sometimes you wonder, how is this stuff true when somebody tells you something like this?
Right.
But the night before I started college, August 26th, I was living at a friend's house and I just cried out to God. I said, God, I'm tired of living life my own way. I just surrender my life to you in Jesus' name. I can't explain it, but I just felt something inside of me say, do not worry about it, son. Just lay it all down on me and follow my path. And from that
Wow.
moment on, I just decided, you know what, if God is real, then I'm gonna follow God. And I just got involved in the church I was going to at that time. And I could say that I was drastically changed from that moment. Just the people I started hanging out with. I changed my friend group. I changed some habits. I something just
That's a
happened on the inside of
lot
me.
for a young, or actually a late teen, a young adult going through all those challenges and having to figure it out, guide it all on your own. But then to have, probably what felt like an angel appear and share information that you hadn't shared with, she would have not known about any of what she had said to you. And it all changed.
Yeah, yeah, that was a God sent person, I can tell you that. Yeah, so I mean, just the habits that I started changing, I started really spending more time with God, spending more time with people who were following God, and that made a big difference in my life. And I say if it wasn't for those changes, I would not be here today, basically. And the people that just impacted my life, that gave me
Right.
an
And
opportunity.
they helped you turn your struggle into purpose.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
tell us a little bit more about that purpose.
Yeah, so whenever you're going through life, you're not expecting to go through it and say, you know what, I'm going to do this later on. You're just going through it because you're merely trying to survive. But the awesome thing about the present now is that what I went through in a way prepared me for what I'm doing today. I get to work with this nonprofit called Path United, and we serve children that live in mobile home communities, and a large
Mhm.
percentage of the youth come from immigrant backgrounds as well. And there's similar stories to some of the kids or even the parents, and I just get to connect with them. And when I share my story, it's a way to empower them and to let them know that if I can get over this and if I can overcome a lot of these things, the possibilities are there for you as well. That you don't have to give in to your situation only because you're going through this. See, I grew up
Right.
undocumented. There were so many things that
Mhm.
were going against me, but I just kept thinking in the back of my mind that, man, something has to give. There has to be some kind of way over this. And I just kept putting one foot after the other. And those are the kind of experiences that I get to share with my students that we work with. We specifically work with children in mobile home parks. So we set up community centers. We do after school programs with the kids. We take them on college career trips, expose them to positive adult relationships, help them connect with God, build them in their social emotional health, help develop the reading
Mhm.
skills, and just developing a vision for the future of what they can be after they graduate high school. And that's what I get to do now.
Wow, what an impactful life and opportunity to turn around and make a difference. And somebody else who's gone through some struggles that you've gone through, and you can share with them the struggles. But look at the difference. One, giving your life over to God can make a whole world of a difference. Less worry, less stress, and, just let Him figure it all out. I love that story, Juan. And you had also shared with me when we were having coffee that you have a book out, correct?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. I have a book published. It's called Left in America. When I was in Dallas, the church I was going to, Trinity Dallas, there was a couple there that heard about my story. They invited me to lunch and I just shared it with them more in depth. And maybe a week or so later, they came back to me and they were like, "Hey, we can't get your story out of our head. We want to help you share it." And shortly after that, they brought somebody on board to help me put it together. We sat down. It took maybe a process of 3 years to put the book together. And then 2015, the book was published. So it's called Left in America, Story of Juan Terrazas. And it's basically what I've shared here uh, on your podcast. It's
Right.
in the book. So it
Right.
details
And that's
more on
why
what
I
I've
brought
been.
it up. So, for those individuals who like to read, who actually like to have a book in hand, we'll also put in the descriptor how you can get a hold of one's book. Hopefully, they're still in circuit, correct?
Yeah, yes.
Wonderful. If somebody wanted to get involved in Path United and what you're doing to make an impact in our communities, how would they do that and what would that look like?
Yeah, they can contact me directly. We have opportunities for people to either they can volunteer in person, and sometimes when involved in person is not possible, there's different ways to donate. They can either donate time, help do little projects on the side. They can help donate snacks and donate program supplies. Gift cards is also a big thing because that gives us opportunities to connect with our students outside of programs, to take them out either in small groups and or one-on-one basis so that we can have a conversation over a meal. And most of the time, youth open up to you more whenever they're eating, and that's just something we found out.
Well,
But
it's like
they
the communal dinner
Mhm.
table.
Yeah.
You find out more about who you're living with when you can all sit down at the dinner table together.
Yeah, yeah. That's so true. So yeah, those are some ways. But then also, if anybody wants to help financially, they can partner with us financially because it's being a nonprofit, the way to keep the program not just afloat, but to thrive is to help the staff and the programs to run.
Right. And we'll make sure that you all have access to that link as well so you can check out this nonprofit and the great things and work that they're doing in the community. One last thing, Juan. You and I are also social media friends. And as I mentioned before the call, I love when you have a new video release. And what I'm talking about for the audience is Juan is I guess how would you describe it as are you a rapper? Are you a Christian artist? How would you describe this video?
I would just say I like to rap. It's a little hobby of mine. I mean, I'm 35 now. I started it when I was around 18 years old. And just little by little, I just got more into it. I feel that music is a way to get into people's hearts, into people's minds. And
Mhm.
I like being able to put lyrics together, and whenever I complete something and then I listen to it, even if nobody else likes it, I'm like, "Man, I like it. I'm enjoying it." So, but yeah, I
Yeah.
would say I'm a there, so
Okay. Well, there's something about it. It's very therapeutic. I'm an artist with paint. And so it would be kind of the same thing for me. That's my way of using it as a stress reliever. But I think also one of the things that you had shared with me when we were preparing for this is one of the biggest challenges that you had growing up was feeling invisible and having that identity and belonging. And so that's kind of what I captured in your music is telling your story and encouraging others. And it's, you're visible, you're showing up and you're teaching those others how to show up as well.
yeah, yeah, that's exactly how I felt. I felt like I wasn't seen, but most of the time I didn't realize it because I didn't realize that because I wasn't allowing myself to see that. But eventually, when I saw people that loved me and cared for me, I gave myself over to allowing them to help me. One of the songs that I recently released in the summer is called Be Somebody. And it's kind of like a response to what my dad used to tell me, whether sober or drunk. He used to just say, "Hey, I want you to be somebody in life." And in the song, I just talk a little bit about my story, just growing up through the struggle and crying through so many of the hardships I've been through, but then eventually finding my way through that. And the one thing I did wish that my dad would have told me is that, "Hey, you are somebody in life, is that you're my son," because I was always somebody. And I will say that to anybody as well too, is that you are somebody. You don't have to wait to become an adult to get a career. You don't have to wait till somebody acknowledges you, but that you are somebody just simply because you are. who you are
And the child of God,
and the child of
that
God.
right there.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and
Wow.
so now and now as an adult, I've been married 10 years, my beautiful wife, Amy, and then we have 4 children. Our oldest is 5, our 3-year-old, and then we have 2 twin girls. And so when I told myself to keep going when I was younger, I knew there was a vision and a purpose for it. I just didn't know what it was gonna be. But now
Mm,
being in the present of where I am today, I'm glad I just kept going because I
yes,
wouldn't.
me too.
Yeah, you never know what you can accomplish if you stop today.
Absolutely. Well, as we're wrapping up this show, is there any last thing that you would like to share with us?
Yeah,
And
I would encourage people to look for ways to invest in someone else. One thing we're teaching our youth this month in at Path is about empathy and kindness. Most of the
mm,
time, we only look into our own interests, but one of the best things to do is to look into someone else's interests and finding out who they are, where they come from, and how can you build that relationship to make an impact in that person.
mm, I love that. Well, if the viewers, anything that we've said today inspired any of you, let us know. You can send us a comment, reach out to us on social media. But what an inspiring story. Thank you so much, Juan. It has been such an amazing experience to spend this time with you to better understand what embracing adversity looks like. And I hope that our audience has felt just as inspired. And this show just goes to show you that resilience and passion can push barriers out of the way. Thank you for joining us. And if anything resonates with you and you'd like to continue this conversation or be a guest, you can go to my website, and that's CRE, the number 8, TIVE, HQ for headquarter. So that's creativehq.com. You can sign up for our newsletter for any upcoming live events or to be a guest on the show. So, once again, thanks for tuning in to the Royal Buzz, where you will discover inspiring stories, empowering discussions, and a whole lot of positivity.